Flora and fauna are a vital part of fantasy world building, but they rarely get the attention they deserve. As a result, so much storytelling potential is left untapped. From finding that initial spark of inspiration to creating ecosystems that your plants and creatures fit seamlessly into, in this video we'll explore several important elements that can bring your stories and worlds to new heights. So sit back, relax, and let's tackle this one step at a time. Have you ever wondered what makes our favorite fantasy tales so captivating? Often it's the small details that breathe life into a story. Among these, flora and fauna hold a special place. Imagine a fantasy world and then remove all its unique plants and creatures. What are you left with? Probably something that feels a lot less magical, right? That is because flora and fauna are not just decorative elements. They are a vital part of forming a world's identity. They can transform an ordinary landscape into something extraordinary, something that can fuel the imagination of your audience. And why settle for the ordinary if you can have the bizarre and magical? Think about the worlds of Avatar or Star Wars. What makes these universes so mesmerizing is the use of plants and creatures that defy our earthly expectations. These worlds feel alive, teeming with possibilities, precisely because the creators dare to go beyond the conventional. Now think about your favorite fantasy setting. What role do its plants and animals play? Are they merely a backdrop, or do they shape the world and its inhabitants? The truth is, in a well-crafted fantasy world, flora and fauna can influence almost everything, from the story's setting and plot to its characters and cultures. They can be a source of wonder, danger, or even sacred power. So how can we as creators infuse our worlds with this kind of vibrancy? It's about weaving these elements into the very fabric of the world. It's about creating ecosystems where your fantastical plants and creatures don't just exist, they thrive and impact the world around them. In the next chapter, we'll delve into the art of drawing inspiration for the creation of unique flora. But before we get there, let's ponder for a brief moment. If you would be creating a creature or plant for your fantasy world, what role would it play? Would it be a source of fear, wonder, or perhaps the key to unlocking your world's greatest mysteries? Keep these questions in mind as we explore further. When it comes to crafting unique flora for your fantasy world, where do you begin? The first step is often drawing inspiration. And fortunately, our world and beyond offer a treasure trove of ideas. Let's take a closer look at how you can harness these sources to create plants that are not just visually captivating, but also integral to your world's ecosystem. Exotic earth plants are a fantastic starting point. Think about the bizarre, almost person-like shapes of the baobab trees, or the carnivorous allure of Venus flytraps. These real-world plants can spark ideas for your fantasy flora, but don't just replicate them. Twist and turn these inspirations to fit the unique environment of your world. Imagine a plant like the baobab tree, but with glowing fruits that light up your fantasy world's night sky, or a variant of the Venus flytrap that's large enough to trap more than just insects. Alien landscapes, whether from science fiction movies, artworks, or even NASA's images of other planets, can also fuel your imagination. These visuals can help conceptualize plants that defy terrestrial norms. Ask yourself, how would flora adapt to a world with different gravitational forces or atmospheric compositions? Perhaps you have floating plants drifting through the air, feeding off magical energies instead of sunlight. Now, artistic representations, especially from fantasy and surrealist art, can further push the boundaries of your imagination. Artists often envision plants in ways that scientists or naturalists wouldn't, allowing for a more whimsical and symbolic approach. Browse through art collections, or better yet, collaborate with an artist, sharing ideas to visualize unique flora that can only exist in the realms of fantasy. When it comes to conceptualizing these plants, consider their form, function, and symbolism. Form pertains to their physical appearance. Think about the shape, color, and texture. Function involves understanding their role in the ecosystem. Do they provide food, shelter, or perhaps have magical properties? And symbolism is how these plants can represent themes or ideas in your story. For instance, a flower that blooms only under moonlight could symbolize secret love or hidden truths. Let me ask you, have you ever come across a plant so unusual that it seemed like it belonged into a fantasy world? Think about what it was about this plant that struck you, because these are the moments of wonder that you want to recreate in your world building. Now, if you found anything useful in the video so far, please consider giving it a like to help me grow this channel. Thank you. In a previous video, we explored my personal concept of ethereal genesis, a comprehensive method for creature design in fantasy world building. This approach covers everything from the anatomical details to the cultural and narrative significance of the creatures you create. For a detailed breakdown of that method, I encourage you to watch the video linked above. But here, let's focus on how we can tie the creation of novel creatures into the broader theme of fauna and flora in your fantasy world. When we think about fauna in fantasy settings, it's not just about crafting a creature that's visually striking or fearsome. It's about integrating these beings into the ecosystem, making them a part of the world's very foundation. These creatures should interact with the flora we discussed in the last chapter, contributing to a rich and dynamic environment. Consider how your creatures interact with the plants in your world. Do they feed on specific types of magical flora, or perhaps aid in pollination or seed dispersal of unique plants? These interactions create a symbiotic relationship between your flora and fauna, each of them influencing the survival and evolution of the other. For instance, imagine a creature adapted to thrive in a forest of luminous trees, like we conceptualized earlier. How might these glowing plants affect the creature's development? Maybe it has developed bioluminescent features to camouflage itself or attract prey. This kind of interdependence adds a layer of depth and realism to your world. But let's take a moment to think beyond just survival. How do these creatures impact the cultures and societies in your world? Are they revered as sacred beings, woven into folklore and religion? Or perhaps feared as harbingers of doom? The way people in your world view and interact with these creatures can tell us a lot about their values, fears, and history. When you're creating a creature for your own fantasy world, think about what unique relationship it would have with the plants and people there. How would it shape and be shaped by its environment and culture? As we continue our journey through the elements of fantasy world building, remember that every plant, every creature, and every aspect of your world is an opportunity to tell a story, to evoke an emotion, and to create a world that feels as real as it is fantastical. Delving deeper into the realm of fantasy world building, it becomes essential to consider how your unique flora and fauna fit into balanced ecosystems. This integration is crucial for crafting a world that feels authentic and alive. Creating a balanced ecosystem involves understanding the interdependencies between different species and their environment. It's about ensuring that each creature and plant has a role that contributes to the overall harmony of the world. For example, a predatory creature you've designed should have a natural prey within the ecosystem, and similarly, a magical plant might need specific conditions or symbiotic relationships to thrive. Consider also the environmental impact of your unique flora and fauna. How do they shape the geography and climate of your world? A forest of giant light-absorbing plants might create perpetually dark undergrowth, nurturing a unique set of creatures adapted to this environment. A species of large, burrowing animals could influence the landscape, creating a network of tunnels and altering the terrain. Think about the ecosystems of our world for a moment. The balance of a rainforest, the harshness of a desert, or the biodiversity of a coral reef. Each is a complex, interwoven blend of life. Think about how you can replicate this intricate balance in your own fantasy world. What unique interactions and dependencies can you create between your plants and creatures? In designing these ecosystems, also consider the impact on human or sentient inhabitants. How do they interact with and adapt to the flora and fauna around them? Are there specific plants or animals that are integral to their way of life, perhaps used for food, medicine, or as sacred symbols? Remember, the ecosystems in your world should not exist in isolation. They should impact and be impacted by the societies and cultures that you create. A city built in a forest dominated by towering magical trees would likely develop a very different culture and architecture compared to one in a desert landscape, for example. As you weave these elements together, also think about how they can enrich your storytelling. A delicate ecological balance can provide a backdrop for conflict, a catalyst for adventure, or a source of wonder and discovery in your narrative. In this chapter, we delve deeper into the cultural significance of flora and fauna in your fantasy world. After all, they can become integral to its society's myths, legends, and daily practices. For instance, a rare flower might be central to religious rituals, symbolizing purity or divine connection. Similarly, a mythical creature might be revered as a guardian spirit or feared as an omen. These elements can become deeply embedded in the culture, influencing everything from art and architecture to festivals and folklore. Now think about the practical uses of your unique plants and animals. In a world where resources are often magical or extraordinary, how would these be utilized? A plant with healing properties could be a cornerstone of medicine, while a creature with special abilities might be used for transportation or defense. These practical applications should make sense within the context of your world, reflecting the environment and the technological level of your societies. But let's not just consider the beneficial aspects. How might the misuse or overexploitation of these natural resources lead to conflict or societal challenges? For instance, overharvesting a magical plant could have dire environmental or spiritual consequences, leading to narrative tension. As a quick exercise, let's imagine a festival in your world. What role do flora and fauna play in it? Are there specific plants that are integral to the celebration, or creatures that are part of the festivities? How do these elements reflect the values and histories of the people celebrating? Understanding how flora and fauna are woven into the fabric of society and culture adds richness to your world building. It's not just about the physical presence of these elements, but how they resonate with the people that live alongside them. In our final chapter, we delve into the integration of flora and fauna into the narrative of your world, enhancing both plot and character development. This is where your world building efforts pay off, bringing depth and dynamism to your storytelling. First, consider how your plants and creatures can directly influence the plot. Perhaps a rare herb is the key to curing a widespread disease, or the sighting of a mythical creature foreshadows a significant event. These elements can drive the narrative forward, serving as objectives or obstacles for your characters. For example, imagine a quest to find a mystical flower hidden deep within a dangerous forest, guarded by equally mysterious creatures. Here, both the flora and fauna are not merely part of the setting, they are central to the story's progression and its challenges. Flora and fauna can also play a crucial role in character development though. How characters interact with these elements can reveal their traits, beliefs, and backgrounds. A character who reveres a sacred animal or fears a particular plant can offer insights into their personality and history. Consider a scenario where a character has a deep connection with a specific creature that guides or aids them on their journey. This relationship can be a powerful tool to showcase the character's growth and their relationship with the world around them. Using plants and animals as symbols and thematic elements can add all kinds of meaning to your story. A blooming flower might symbolize hope in a desolate landscape, while a dying creature could represent impending suffering. Think about the themes in your narrative, such as survival, transformation, or harmony with nature, and how the flora and fauna can embody or reflect these. But for now, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Have a great day, and see you in the next one.